Our sports.
Peyton Manning passed Brett Favre last night for the most career touchdowns in the Denver Broncos' 42-17 win over the San Francisco 49ers. Manning threw for four touchdown strikes to run his career total to 510. He also finished with 318 yards with 22 of 26 passing. The Broncos improved to 5-1, and the 49ers fall to 4-3. The Dallas Cowboys stayed hot, topping the New York Giants 31-21. Dallas running back DeMarco Murray continued his historic running spree of 100-plus yards with 128 yards on the ground last night. He's had 100-plus yards in 7 games to start this season. He passes Jim Brown. He had that 128 yards on 28 carries. For the Giants, quarterback Eli Manning threw for 3 touchdowns and 248 yards on 21 completions. However, the Giants did come away with the loss. Tony Romo continues to lead the Cowboys to victory. The Indianapolis Colts extended their winning streak to 5 with the Cincinnati Bengals as they slapped them silly 27-0. Indianapolis quarterback Andrew Luck put up 344 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. The Detroit Lions held off the New Orleans Saints 24-23. The Green Bay Packers defeated the Carolina Panthers 38-17. The Kansas City Chiefs edged the San Diego Chargers on a last-second field goal, and another crazy weekend in college football. The top 5 teams in the rankings dominated by the SEC. The rankings were, as stated, number 1, Mississippi State, number 2, Florida State, number 3, Ole Miss, number 4, Alabama, and number 5, Auburn. This is the first time in history that one conference has 4 of the top 5. And in the NHL, the New York Rangers topped the San Jose Sharks 4-0. New York netted 2 goals for seconds apart, only 4 seconds apart in the second period. Henrik Lundqvist recorded 33 saves for the King. And Iona Athletics, the women's soccer, tied Niagara 2-2. The men's soccer team fell to Niagara 3-2 in overtime, and volleyball team lost to Manhattan in 5 games. This is Anthony Carlo on WICR for your sports update. Next up on the slate is the Anthony Carlo and Armand Madeo Sports Talk Show, Sports Just Cuz. We'll see you in a second.
WICR, rocking the campus in New Rochelle.
On this mellow evening, Anthony Carlo and Armand Madeo are sitting here in WICR, lower level of La Penta, as my other co-host Benzino, the hero, likes to say. Armand, how you doing?
Doing good, Ant. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I was able to reconnect with my counterpart here on Saturday as we had the privilege of calling a football game, play-by-play.
That was very interesting. I mean, it was extremely cold, but we got the job done.
As far as everybody knows here, Armand's talent is, in terms of analyzing the game of football, are top-notch. So in this specific game, he got the call to be the color analyst. Therefore, had to break down every play after I had announced it.
Well, and you didn't do such a bad job yourself as the play-by-play. You did a great
I did a terrible job.
No, you did a great job.
It's pretty
difficult. I mean, not come up for air. Just keep rattling off names and plays. You did a good job, man.
I appreciate it. I enjoyed doing it. I was a little afraid to begin with because I wasn't, it's not the NFL. So
oh, yeah, me too. Going in there blind.
Yeah, the players' names I had to get used to, and looking down, constantly at the rosters. And, of course, in the NFL, you have the nice refs with the mics to let you know loud and clear.
And we're also sitting like 100 yards away. I mean, we were pretty far away.
Sometimes I couldn't see the signal they were making and whatnot. But, listen, we got through it.
Hopefully we do another one.
I know. We're going to be looking forward to continuing doing games because I enjoy that. But we're here at Sports Just Cuz to talk about the NFL because it has been Week 7 just finished up.
Week 7 was a great week. A lot of upsets. Let's get to it.
A lot of upsets, yes. And I mean, when you say upset, the first thing that comes to my mind is the Seahawks losing again.
That's the biggest upset, Ant.
3-3, they stand on the season, and they recently got rid of Percy Harvin.
Yes.
He's a New York Jet now, member of the New York Jets. And
what do
listen,
you think about that decision?
Look, as far as Percy Harvin goes, Percy Harvin is a lethal player when he's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Percy Harvin, you can work him into a lot of different parts of the offense. You can hand the ball off to him. You get him in motion. You can use him in that respect. He's a good wide receiver. He could be a pivotal part of the Jets' offense if he stays healthy.
He could. This loss is going to definitely affect the Seahawks because they don't have a game-changing implicator player like Percy Harvin who can do an end-around or he can catch a vertical pass. Doug Baldwin has to become that number one receiver right now, and Doug Baldwin's just an average receiver.
Yeah, but he's asking for it. The way that he's been voicing his opinion, he's asking for a leadership role in that respect.
Well, hopefully he's up to the challenge. But, I mean, it was a good decision by the Seahawks organization because, one, Percy Harvin's contract was expiring. He probably was going to ask for a lot more money because he is one of the more established, better receivers in the league. Two, he was a controversial player in the locker room, from the reports I've gathered. There was actually rumors that they thought, the organization, Pete Carroll, the offensive coordinator, they thought that Percy Harvin was going to lead a mutiny in the locker room against Russell Wilson. And in the Super Bowl, Golden Tate and him went at it. They actually got into a fight, and Percy Harvin slammed down Golden Tate the night before the Super Bowl. And if you look at images, Golden Tate has a black eye.
Yeah.
So
you see, that's a problem. The Percy Harvin rumors, I agree with you. I've heard the same reports. But the stuff you're bringing up now really can paint a picture for fans. It's a cancer in the locker room.
Exactly, and that affects the team on the field as well. So, you want to have that whole morale. You want to have that whole teamwork and, just work together. And Percy Harvin's going to threaten that. You got to let this man go. And they did a good job.
I think that it's interesting how a player with lots of talent like Percy Harvin, when you realize what he does in a whole nother facet of his game, it's actually maybe more beneficial to play without him, despite having his talent. Now, what does that mean for the Jets then? That means you're bringing in a player who may be a problem in the locker room, but I think what the Jets feel at this point is that their backs are against the wall, and they need to do something to try and salvage the rest of the season.
I happen to agree with you, and I don't even think the Jets took this into consideration. They just went in here saying, Percy Harvin, one of the top 20 receivers in this league, let's bring him in and work alongside Eric Decker and see if Geno Smith can get the chains rolling.
Well, yeah, and exactly, but an interesting part of this is the fact that the Jets passed on Deshaun Jackson, and Deshaun Jackson was controversially
I was about to say that.
Similar in the fact that, they do tend to controversy follows their paths.
Well, Deshaun Jackson, I think, is a more passionate player than Percy Harvin. Deshaun Jackson gets under himself a lot when he makes a bad play. He's very adamant on the field. He's sort of like a Dez Bryant. Like Dez Bryant, one could view Dez Bryant as a head case, but Dez Bryant's trying to do what's best for the team. He tries to get the team going.
Right.
Percy Harvin's almost doing it like he's trying to mock them and belittle them. Dez Bryant's trying to. It's a different type of controversial player.
I understand what you're saying. Now take into consideration that besides all of this off the field stuff, or at least in the locker room type of stuff, Percy Harvin has also struggled with injuries. And the fact that last year he was only a crucial factor in the Super Bowl because all of the previous games he was hurt may be another factor
that might be another
look at.
That might be another reason why the Seahawks let him go. They want to, when his contract's up, they don't want to give him a long-term deal because Percy Harvin, as you said, Anthony, which is a very good point, the injuries have always been a big knock in this man's career.
Exactly. So he was. I think it's safe to say he was healthiest with the Vikings, and when moving on to Seattle, definitely a playmaker, as you said. When he's in the game, he's a playmaker. But a lot of things have to go right for him to be that playmaker with the Jets. Call me crazy, but I think they're gonna go right because the Jets have swung and missed too much this year for another thing to go wrong.
If anything, when Percy Harvin comes here, most of the players might not even argue with him. They might be like, listen, you're right. You're coming from a winning organization. You can tell us what to do. Maybe we'll listen. Maybe we need that outside criticism. And maybe Percy Harvin, with his mentality, could be a beneficial factor.
I think I'm going to go with a gut feeling that he's going to help the team, and as long as Geno Smith can get him the ball, that'll do the trick. But you have to remember that Geno Smith is dealing with a team that he doesn't have that player like Percy Harvin up until now. Eric Decker's not. He's not as talented as a Percy Harvin.
Eric Decker is a solid number 2 receiver. He's not a number 1. That was his problem in Denver, and that's what he was trying to look for in the offseason. The Jets were honestly one of the only teams who gave him a contract like the one he received, because most of these teams in the NFL that are elite status are not going to go after Eric Decker to be their number 1 guy. He's not a Jordy Nelson. He's not a Demaryius Thomas. He's not a Calvin Johnson.
No, he's not. And the rest of those players, Jeremy Curley and
Jeremy Curley's a good slot receiver.
They're good slot receivers, but the one name, if you're going to just talk about their stats on the field, healthy, take out of all consideration whatever controversy he brings. If you're going to look at stats only, Percy Harvin's going to be that playmaker for this team.
Agreed.
So in that respect, they did go out and get it. Maybe a little too late. They are 1-6.
1-6.
But
the only good thing going for the Jets' way is that, yes, they lost a heartbreaker to the Patriots in which they should have won.
Right.
But they have 5 divisional games left. If they were somehow to win those 5 divisional games, which is highly unlikely, sweep the Dolphins, sweep the Bills, and then beat New England in MetLife, and then hope for a couple of losses by the Bills, Dolphins, and Patriots, they could be back in this. But the season's basically up for grabs right now, and they should look forward to a draft pick next year.
Yeah, and in one respect, you talk about the heartbreaking loss to the Patriots. That was last Thursday. You look at that game and you realize that all the Geno Smith complainers, which I've been one of them, I'm guilty, up until this point, if you look at what he did in that game, you have to commend Geno Smith for valiantly trying to lead that team to a victory.
You know what was a big part in this game, in which when I watch all of Geno Smith play in the previous New York Jet games,
right,
Geno Smith's always under duress in the pocket. He's always dropping back. He's always flustered and trying to make plays with his feet. Geno, when he's in the pocket, he has a sling. He can throw as hard as Cam Newton. He can throw as hard as Aaron Rodgers. Yes, his accuracy might not be as good as those guys I just mentioned.
Right.
But Geno Smith has the upside. He's a sophomore in the league. The problem is this Jet offensive line needs to give him the ability to make these plays. And it all starts with blocking. And in this game, they did a great job of blocking that great Patriot pass rush. Chandler Jones is a great pass rusher.
Yeah.
Vince Wilfork, they have good guys.
Yes.
Rob Nikovich.
Yeah.
They were able to hold these guys off. Geno didn't do anything out of the extraordinary. He threw for, 190 yards?
Yeah,
he threw no turnovers.
His stats weren't crazy.
Yeah, but it was a good completion percentage. You know what I mean? He made the right plays. Chris Ivory played good. Chris Johnson played all right. The Jets played good overall as a team.
Exactly. Smith was 20 for 34, 226 yards.
The only thing that killed them is their red zone efficiency needs to be better.
Well, field
goals, too many field goals.
The problem for me was the fact that they first of all, from Geno Smith, one of the key examples of what I'm trying to get at is the fact that when he was hurt, he looked like he had a pretty bad leg injury when he got hurt on that play. He came out and he wanted to get right back on the field. You could see the fire in him that he wanted to get the Jets that win, because he knew a win against a team like the Patriots, even though they're not vintage New England this year, would be a win to boost them in weeks to come. Now, Geno Smith on the other end of the, if we talk about red zone efficiency, now they scored a touchdown to bring them within 2 points of tying the game. That 2-point conversion, I didn't like the play calling on that 2-point conversion.
Neither did I. I didn't like the fade route.
No, listen, everybody go. You hate the fade. I believe you said that, right?
It depends what. No, I like the
Somebody
fade, but
said
it
that. Maybe
depends who the receiver is you're throwing it to. I believe they threw a fade to, who was it? Jeff Cumberland?
It may have been him or Jay Samaro.
Yeah, these
might
guys.
have been Jay Samaro.
Now, if you have a Calvin Johnson on your team, by all means, throw the fade. Fade's a great play depending on the receiver.
Right, but the way they executed it looked poorly executed, looked poorly put together.
Mm-hmm.
It was a poorly orchestrated play. I didn't like it. Looked almost as if they did it, half trying to do it. You
Honestly,
know what I mean?
What I would have done is
tentatively.
I would just gave a draw right up the middle to Chris Ivory.
Yes, because Chris Ivory rushed for 107 yards on the day. I don't care.
The
if it's
Patriots
2-point
actually lucked
conversion.
out. They actually wanted Geno to throw the ball in that situation, and Marty Mortwig made a poor call.
I couldn't agree with you more. From the second I saw that, I said I would have much rather give it to Ivory and try
Either
to let him
that
get into
or
the end zone.
put Chris Johnson in the game and throw like a pitch. Any way you slice it, one of these guys should have ran the ball in.
Yeah.
The Jets are not. They have trouble as it is throwing the ball in the red zone. What makes you think they're going to be able to commit a 2-point conversion.
Yeah. So these are things that this team needs to tighten up. And if you're a Jets fan, you're hoping that Percy Harvin can be maybe that red zone target at that point, try and get a conversion. That would have been the difference in the game because, let's be honest, the 58-yard field goal wasn't happening either way. Even though they blocked that, it wasn't going to happen either way.
It wasn't. You're absolutely correct. He was shanked that.
So we got on this topic originally bringing up the Seahawks. Speaking about,
we're supposed to talk about the Seahawks Rams, but
which we can right now.
No, we can.
So let's get into it. The Seahawks wind up losing this contest to the Rams, who basically played with Halloween coming up, a little trick or treat with the Seahawks.
They really
did. They deked them out the whole time. That's basically how they won this game.
They won due to strategy. They outsmarted Pete Carroll and the Super Bowl champions.
The Seahawks outgained the Rams by a couple of hundred yards. They had the game offensively.
Special teams.
You go to the stats, they had that game put in the bag, and what happened was exactly special teams.
I mean, I've never seen that, and I've never seen this play called ever in football where on the special teams where the Seattle kicker, that was totally the Seattle kicker's fault. He kicked that to the right of the field, and it was really smart. The other guy, I think it was Tavon Austin, he was in the corner expecting all the blockers followed him into the other corner, and then the other guy leaked out right. It was just a smart play. I've never seen that before, and then the fake punt.
That's what we like to call. Basically, if you think about a player, I'm going to try and correlate this to a different sport. But if we talk about the retirement of Derek Jeter and everything, that's like what we like to call an instinctive, intangible play of what was done to fake that catch. If you saw him the way he was looking up as if the ball was going to fall into his hands, that's something I don't personally think you plan. I think it's something that just happens and you respond to it.
I think that was planned.
You think it was planned?
It was too well executed to be not planned.
Yeah, but the thing is, you said it yourself. He kicked it to the wrong side of the.
No, the Seahawk kicker. It was his fault why that all happened, and then because when you have to think about this, when the opposing team is kicking the ball back, the players are running towards. They don't see where the football is. They're just running down the field, and they're expecting the punt returner. They're following the punt returner's eyes. Wherever the punt returner is going on the field, the gunners from the other team are tracking down that guy. They're not seeing where the football's landed. They're just seeing where the punt returner's eyes are. And in this case, the other guy leaked out. I mean, the Seahawk kicker should yelled or something, be like, listen, the punt's going to the left, not the right.
Exactly. I think somebody, whether or not they see the football or not, somebody has to be cognizant of where that ball is dropping. Mm-hmm. I mean, I understand that's almost, it's very human. We're all humans here. It's human. Mm-hmm. It's a human accident that you can get deked out by a smart play like that. But I really think that the Rams caught Seattle sleeping in this game more than once. On the punt fake for the first down, they caught them sleeping. Let's be honest, they don't do that a lot in the NFL, no. But still, you have to be prepared.
I don't think the Seahawk defense is as lethal as it was last year.
No, I think the Lions or the Cardinals have the best defense
exactly.
in the NFL.
I mean, the Seahawks, the only thing they had good going up to this game is they were one of the top 5. I think they were actually number 1 rush defense in the league, number 1 or 2. They were in the top 5, I know that.
Right.
But Trey Mason, rookie out of Auburn, he was a third-string corner at the beginning of the year. He came in, rushed 18 times for 85 yards. Third-string third-string running back.
Yeah.
So, and then Austin Davis, a third-string quarterback. There's no reason why you're losing to third-string players.
Oh no, that's a problem.
Yeah,
right there. That
you're the Super Bowl champions. You're losing to a third-string quarterback.
Right, quarterback,
and third-string running back.
Well, the issue here is that
it's unacceptable.
You said it right. I mean, that's one word that comes to mind. It's unacceptable to lose to a third-string quarterback, and I think that right now Seattle's in trouble. I think that this team is in trouble.
They're 2 games behind the Cardinals now.
They have players on their team that like to have leadership roles, like Richard Sherman. I think he likes to think he's the leader of the Legion of Boom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the fact is I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel like if you are not. Yes, he is one of the best corners in the game, if not the best.
He's not the best.
I mean, he's arguably.
He'll be the best when he plays both sides of the football field. He can only play the left side of the football field, which is beyond me. It's a ridiculous excuse why he says he does it, because that's Byron Maxwell's corner. Yeah. That's ridiculous. I'm sorry. He's just scared. Probably because it's something to do with his eyes. Yeah. Maybe he's able to read the quarterback's, the play calls. Maybe can't see out of the other eye. That's the only thing I can think of. But why you would do that.
My point is I don't think that much credit should be given to a guy who, number one, like you said, only wants to play one side of the football field. Number two, somebody might really yell at me for saying this, but I don't find him to be a huge playmaker.
He's not.
I don't find
Anthony,
him to be.
I agree with you here. I think Richard Sherman's one of the more overhyped players in the league. He's
consistent. That's
about it. He does
it.
not go through the same routine that Darrelle Revis does each day and each night. Every week Darrelle Revis steps on that field for New England or Tampa Bay or the Jets. Throughout his career, he went up against the best assignment on the offensive receiving core. He went up against Brandon Marshall. He went up against Jordy Nelson. He went up against whoever.
Yeah.
Richard Sherman doesn't do that. It's whoever's on the left side. And the Packers, I know they lost week 1, but Jordy Nelson was on Byron Maxwell was on Jordy Nelson. Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers didn't even look to the right of the field.
You know how that hurts the team?
Yeah.
Because they'll send over to Richard Sherman somebody who they're not going to throw to.
You know who the real leader of the Legion of Boom is? It's Earl Thomas.
Earl
Thomas is a ball hawk secondary player.
Cam Chancellor is a good leader.
Cam Chancellor is a good leader too, but what they do is they bring 8 on the line. Sort of what we saw in the well, I'm not going to compare this to high school football, but Blindbrook, when we were calling that game, they kept bringing 8 guys on the line.
Yeah. I like the comparison.
I mean, but I should compare Blindbrook to the Seattle Seahawks, but
Oh, yeah, but I understand what you're saying.
No, but the Seahawks do the same thing. They bring 8 guys. They use Cam Chancellor as the inside linebacker.
Right.
Sort of like a 4-4 they're running.
Yeah, no,
Actually, no, a 3-5. My bad.
But
they bring another safety in.
No, I agree with the comparison. I just think that I know that's probably off topic, but when I brought up about Richard Sherman, but I just think that to be a big playmaker in this league, you got to be in the middle of it. He's not in the middle of it all the time because of what you just said. He doesn't cover always.
I mean,
their
pass defense, they're only in the middle tier right now. Pass defense, they're only in the middle. They're in the average. They're in between the middle of the pack right now.
Right.
Statistics.
So the Rams pretty much punk out the Seahawks using a couple of strategically placed trickery plays, and that's that's big because the Seahawks are in 3rd place now.
And they travel to Carolina next week.
Yeah, they were beaten by a 2-4 team. The Rams they
dropped 2 in a row now.
And even though the 49ers lost to the Broncos, they're still a game above 500. They're 4-3 and they're ahead of the Seahawks. And then you got the Cardinals who have been near to flawless this year in 1st place.
And they've went through a lot of injuries, too. Carson Palmer just came back.
Yeah.
I like what they've been able to accomplish.
So the Seahawks, it's easy to get lost in the shuffle down the stretch here if they continue to play this type of football.
If they keep struggling, if they were to lose this game next week to the Carolina Panthers, they're in trouble. Look at the playoffs. You said 49ers 4-3.
Yeah.
You got the Philadelphia Eagles who are right behind the Dallas Cowboys at 5-1.
Yeah.
And you have the Detroit Lions who are in 2nd place behind the Green Bay Packers at 5-2.
Yeah. It's dangerous, and I'll tell you one thing: Seattle is not the most talented team out of all those teams.
They're not.
There's
especially after losing Percy Harvin.
Yeah.
Because now it's sort of like when I was watching this game, Marshawn Lynch was taken out of this game. I think he ran the ball 18 times for around 50 yards.
Right.
That's only like 3 yards to carry. Marshawn Lynch, he's beast mode.
Yeah.
He usually goes in and averages 5 yards to carry, and it's sort of Russell Wilson. Did you look at his numbers? His numbers were insane, Ant.
No, you have them here?
I think I do. He threw for 313 yards. He had 2 touchdowns passing, no picks, and he also rushed for over 100 yards with 106 and 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, Russell Wilson's doing whatever he can.
He rushed for over 100 yards, you said, right? Yeah. I remember. Yeah, now that you say it, I remember seeing that.
Russell Wilson, in his own way, is an MVP candidate. He's the only thing that's keeping this team afloat at 3-3. They should be below that right now because that defense has not been the Legion of Boom.
Which is why you tend to think when Doug Baldwin has a gripe. I mean, a couple of weeks ago he was blasting Russell Wilson on the sideline. And Russell Wilson has this cool, calm demeanor after the game to try and say, listen, this team is still a good team. Mm-hmm. We don't have to worry. Baldwin's trying to get across the fact that, yes, we do have to worry. In that instance, I wouldn't know who to turn to because in one respect, one guy's trying to assume a leadership role and try and fire this team up to change their negative ways. And the other one is trying to keep everybody calm and cool, as a, sort of a silent leader.
Even if Doug Baldwin was to step up and be this number 1 receiver, look at the other guys. You got like Jermaine Kearse, who is just an average player, and he's going to be your number 2 receiver on the other side of the field.
Yeah.
And then your slot receivers. They have a rookie. I think his name's Richardson, who's a rookie, came in the later rounds, the 5th or 6th round. Then they have another guy who's also a rookie. And then their tight ends, you have Zach Miller. I mean, you don't have good tight ends.
That's why without Golden Tate anymore and now losing Percy Harvin, they have no number. I mean, to me, they don't have a number 1 receiver.
They just want to get rid of Harvin. You know what they got in return? A sixth conditional pick.
Conditional picks.
Six conditional pick, which could turn into a fourth conditional pick.
Right, which could turn into a fourth conditional pick. So, listen, the Seahawks, it's going to be interesting to see whether or not they can turn this around.
Let's move on to another team now.
49ers, and I was in the process of doing that. I was trying to figure out
which team. I mean, we can talk Cowboys, Giants.
We can talk Cowboys, Giants, the best team in the NFL right now. Oh, we were just talking off the air, Armand and I. I'll bring this up because I think we might have had a little disagreement about why the Giants lost this game.
I would like to talk about this, so let's get it going.
So we were talking off the air about why the Giants lost this game. We didn't get that much into it, but my stance on it was the fact that this is granted. DeMarco Murray is having a career year. He has rushed for, I believe it is, 7 straight 100-plus rushing games out of the gate, which has passed him over Jim Brown in the record books and has put him basically, I'd say, an MVP talk because he's carrying that. To me, he's carrying that Cowboys offense.
He's already almost have 1,000 yards.
Right.
7 weeks in, 1,000 yards. He could break the all-time rushing.
Right. So this was my stance on it. Armand's, you want me to say what your feeling was, or you want me to wait for you to give your argument?
What are you gonna say? The feeling why the Giants lost, or why the Cowboys are so good?
I'm gonna explain to you why the Giants lost this game.
All right, hit me.
The Giants lost this game. I'm not gonna be an idiot here and tell you they lost because I'm not gonna say that not stopping DeMarco Murray wasn't a reason that they lost the game.
No.
It is a reason. It's an obvious reason. You can't stop the run with DeMarco Murray. You're most likely going to lose if he goes beast like he's been going. But other reasons they lost, which are not minimal either, they're legitimate reasons, were the fact that they let Tony Romo throw pretty comfortably the whole game. I don't feel like 2 sacks was a good enough pass rush on him, especially when Dez Bryant has 9 catches and receives 151 yards on this team. The way you destroy the Dallas Cowboys is from the inside out. You get them at each other's throats. You know how you do that? You make Romo uncomfortable. That way he can't have a sure catch with Dez Bryant every time. Dez Bryant starts crying like a baby that he's not getting the ball anymore, starts fighting with Tony Romo, and the Giants win the game.
You good?
I'm good.
No, I mean, what you said was correct. But the problem here is that the reason why Tony Romo was able to tear apart this defense was because when you have such a dominant offensive passing game and a running game, it gets the defense second guessing. The Giants did not know how to stop this Cowboy team, and neither has the other 5 opposing teams that have lost to them in the last 5 weeks. What happened was that, and also another thing, Prince Amukamara was on Dez Bryant. Prince Amukamara is your second corner. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie is the better corner in this team. They acquired him in the offseason because he's a man-to-man corner. He's not a zone corner. He's a man-to-man corner. And Prince Amukamara was on a big test here, guarding probably the top 3 wide receivers in the game. And
he did well early on.
The thing, and also another reason why the Giants lost, I'm gonna break down the whole Giant routine to you right now. The Giants had 6 penalties for 40 yards.
Right.
And a couple of those penalties were in the fourth quarter, and which were very, very big breaking penalties that allowed Tony Romo to move the chains.
Right.
They had 2 fumbles lost, which were in the later part of the game. Giants always have late turnovers that come back and haunt them.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, Ben McAdoo, he needs to change the offensive routine of this New York Giant football team. Yes, I like the whole West Coast offense demeanor, but the thing is, when the New York Giants went to the Super Bowl, Eli Manning had the best statistical year of his career. He threw for 4,933 yards.
Right.
Eli Manning, since that year, the Giants have not made the playoffs, and Eli Manning has not thrown for over 4,000 yards. No. And he's most likely not on pace this year to do it because the Giants have changed their whole element of offense. All they do now is run. I'm sorry, Rashad Jennings, good runner, he's out. Andre Williams, I like the way that kid drops his shoulder. He's a very passionate, hard runner.
Yeah.
But these are not no LaShawn McCoys. These are not no DeMarco Murrays. They're not going to get the team second guessing in which you will have your quarterback throw for 300 yards and also have a runner run for over 100. It's too predictable. The Giants are way too predictable. Yeah. And what's going to happen here is that the Giants need to change their whole offensive routine, go back to Eli Manning, make him become more demanding and confident in his arm because Eli Manning, after that touchdown in the game, he moved into 18th all-time in passing touchdowns.
Yeah.
Eli Manning has had a great career.
No, I agree
The
with
last
you.
2 seasons, the New York Giant organization, Tom Coughlin, Ben McAdoo, Steve Spagnuolo, who was there a couple years ago, they all doubted Eli Manning. They've all held Eli Manning back.
Yeah.
This offensive line is not particularly good.
I agree.
Eli Manning looks like a sitting duck in the offensive in the pocket,
which is affecting the running game as well.
It's affecting the running game as well because the holes are not gapping, and the pass rush is coming in and sacking the quarterback and stopping the run from breaking out from 10 or more yards.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that that problem with the offensive line is continuing.
Victor Cruz going down with a torn patella. I mean, it's upsetting. Victor Cruz is a great player,
but he's not the best receiver. On the team.
I think he gets the best numbers because he has a name now. He's got the whole thing. He's been there in the system. But Odell Beckham is going to be 100 times better receiver than Victor Cruz.
Yeah.
Give the kid a couple years. Ruben Randle, he's got bigger size, got bigger hands. The only thing is his route running's not good, but the guy has all of the ability to go up and make better catches than Victor Cruz. He has bigger body. Larry Donnell, a great red zone target.
Yeah.
Give Eli Manning the ball. Let him work in open field, and he can tear apart defenses. Eli Manning each game can throw you 300 yards.
Yeah.
But he's not getting the attempts, Ant.
I agree with you.
He's not getting the attempts like Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers, who throw the ball 40 times a game. Let Eli throw the ball 40 times a game.
Yeah.
When they had Akeem Nicks a couple years ago, when they had a Victor Cruz, when they had all these guys, they would airmail the ball. They don't do that anymore.
I agree that it does start and end with Eli Manning. I've said that as well from day one. I agree with you. Eli Manning is the most pivotal part of that offense.
Starts and ends with the offensive coordinator and the play calling of the New York Giants because it's pitiful.
Yeah, well,
depend more on Eli Manning.
Here's the thing. This is why I may think that the offensive coordination on the Giants with Ben McAdoo and the team has gotten away a little bit is holding Eli Manning, in your words, back. I think that they don't believe in the set of receivers they have. I don't think they believe. You mentioned a couple of quarterbacks, Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers. You name those two guys. Aaron Rodgers has Jordy Nelson to throw to. Aaron Rodgers has Randall Cobb to throw to. Those are two receivers on that team that the Giants, I don't believe the Giants have any can match that. Those two receivers right there, especially Jordy Nelson. You look at Drew Brees. I mean, okay, he fine this year it's not going their way, but I think that they don't believe enough in the set of receivers that the Giants have.
I think it's that they don't believe in Eli Manning, and they believe that the Giants are a run-pounding team. This is not the New York Giants from the mid-2000s in which you had Tiki Barber, when you were a run-pounding team, even when you had Ahmad Bradshaw in the late 2000s and Brandon Jacobs. Those were hard runners. These guys you have now, they're young runners. Even David Wilson, they were trying to act like he was the next big running back before he had his career-ending injury. They've diminished the whole offensive passing game of the New York Giant football. There's a reason why Eli's not thrown for over 4,000 yards in the last 2 seasons. There's a reason why the New York Giants have not been able to go back to the postseason in the last 2 seasons. It's because Eli Manning is not getting the opportunity. And the 1 year in which he had his worst statistical year, I believe it might have been last year.
Last year,
he threw 25 picks. He threw over 20 picks.
Led the NFL in interceptions.
But if you look at the attempts, it's not a lot. They put him in a bad situation in which the team's down, in which he has to make the throws, and it's predictable. Yeah. You're down, you have to make the throws.
The offensive line did nothing to protect him either. He had no...
Listen, Aaron Rodgers does not have a good offensive line either. Green Bay.
Yeah, but it was better than the Giants' offensive line last year. The difference between
Aaron Rodgers and Eli Manning is he's able to get out of the pocket.
Well, yeah, Eli can't run. He runs like he's in molasses with a piano on his back.
Did you see yesterday where he made like a 10-yard first down? I don't think he knows how to slide, though.
I also saw when he was running.
It's a pretty goofy slide.
He was also running away from the defense, and he looked like he was literally running through molasses with a piano on his back. He couldn't get. He was running backwards. He couldn't get away from them. I agree. Look, that's you bring up all great points. I'm just saying, when I was making my point, is that Tony Romo is walking around with a big stupid smile on his face, like he is the #1 quarterback in the NFL and historically one of the best. I'm telling you, Tony Romo's uniform wasn't dirty enough, and I explained why it would have been beneficial on the defensive end of the ball to get a better pass rush on Tony Romo and try and make him more more uncomfortable to try and stop that. Listen, the Cowboys, granted, their defense has been great this year against expectations. Because tell me one person who thought the Cowboys defense was going to be great.
Cowboys last year the worst statistical defense, and now they're mediocre, which is good. That's all they need to be.
But they make their money with their offense. They live and die with the offense. So the defense of the Giants
and I told you
needed to slow them down.
Because teams do not know how to stop the Cowboys because they have a 1-2 punch. And when I mean a 1-2 punch, when you go and play action, you don't know if DeMarco Murray's going to get the ball, a handoff, or 20-yard run, or if he's going to fake the handoff to DeMarco Murray, and Tony Romo's going to drop back and hit Terrence Williams on a slant for 20 yards, or hit Des Bryant on a vertical threat.
But if you have a
this
better
team on offense is too good.
I don't. But look,
and the Giants have nagging.
Good.
The Giants have nagging defense.
There is a way to stop
the captain,
a good
John
team.
Beeson. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie was injured. They have injury problems right now.
Yeah, no, I understand. But what I'm saying is the fact that you just said they're multifaceted. They have Murray. They have their pet. Whatever they can fit. Play action. You never know what's coming. A better front effort there to try to better rushing defense and a better pass rush would have helped that. Don't you get it?
It would have helped that, but the Giants don't have a good front seven.
Well, yeah.
They never have
honestly,
had a
that's
good
what
front
it comes
seven since the
down
LT days.
Yeah, well.
I mean, they got hot in the Super Bowl because they had a good front four. The Giants haven't had good middle linebackers. The best middle linebacker they had, or even outside linebackers, was Antonio Pierce during the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Pierce.
And he was a good player, but he was not a superstar. By all means, he's not a Patrick Willis or a Brian Urlacher.
No, but he
was a suitable middle linebacker. He was a suitable captain.
He fed into the team chemistry.
But the Giants have never been that type of team in which they have a good guy who could stop the run since Lawrence Taylor.
You know what? A good team assimilates to be something to beat a good team. That's what they needed to beat the Cowboys. In my opinion,
it is, and that Dallas Cowboy offensive line's superb. Tony Romo, I think, is actually one of the least sacking quarterbacks in the league right now.
Yeah. So
look at Peyton Manning, bro. When do you ever see Peyton Manning get sacked besides the Jet game? Actually, the Jets actually got to him a couple times last week. They played him.
Yeah.
Muhammad Wilkerson hit him. Sheldon Richardson. I mean, but besides that, Peyton Manning never gets sacked.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break here on Sports Just Cuz. That was a rather long break without a commercial, but we will be right back here. We'll get into we got some more NFL. I mean, we got our preview of the Monday night game, and we'd like to chat a little bit about the World Series. We'll see though. We got carried away here. We'll be right back though here on Sports Just Cuz.